Welcome to the Real News Network. I'm Gregory Wilpert, coming to you from Quito, Ecuador. President Barack Obama and his family landed in Buenos Aires, Argentina the other day after having completed a historic 3-day visit to Cuba. Upon his arrival, President Obama heaped praise on the newly elected Argentine president, Mauricio Macri, a dyed-in-the-wool conservative and neoliberal who took the country on a dramatically new course after the more welfare state-oriented policies of Presidents Nestor and Cristina Kirchner.
As the president indicated, we just had an excellent conversation, and I can tell you that President Macri is a man in a hurry. I'm impressed because he has moved rapidly on so many of the reforms that he promised to create more sustainable and inclusive economic growth and to reconnect Argentina with the global economy and the world community. And today, in a show of confidence in Argentina's new direction, many U.S. businesses are announcing tens of millions of dollars in new investment here in Argentina, which can be part of the broader package of investment that can lead to new jobs and economic growth here in this country. And what President Macri and his team have achieved in such a short time is a testimony not only to his remarkable energy, but also the willingness of people from different parties to work together.
However, not everyone was pleased with Obama's visit. A number of Argentine social movements called on Obama to cancel or postpone his visit because it falls on the 40th anniversary of a military coup that installed a brutal dictatorship that lasted 7 years, from 1976 to 1983, and that enjoyed the support of the US government for much of that time. It was a dictatorship that disappeared as many as 30,000 dissidents, many of whom the parents are still to this day trying to locate. With us today to talk about Obama's visit to Argentina and the protest against him are Julian Gomez, a professor of psychology at the University of Buenos Aires, and Nicholas Allen, a PhD student in literature, also at the University of Buenos Aires. Both are activists in the Movimiento Popular La Dignidad and are joining us from Buenos Aires. Thanks for joining us today, Julian and Nicholas.
Hello, Gregory. How are you?
Hello, Gregory. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to express our opinions on Obama's visit to Argentina.
Great. So why don't you first of all, let's start out with, why don't you tell us first as to who is protesting against Obama's visit and why? Why are they demonstrating against his visit?
There's a big number of organizations, of mostly left organizations, that understand that the visit of Obama is a very bad news, not only for Argentina, but for all the Latin America, because we are now suffering a change after almost 12 or 15 years of governments that support the different ways or the people that improve the condition of life of many people. And now we are going back in many ways, as we can see in Brazil, in Venezuela, in Bolivia, and here in Argentina. The right movement, the neoliberalism, is recovering forces, and that's obviously is in a context of the United States taking back the power here in this region. And we understand that is the context in which the visit of Obama happens here in Argentina, and that is why we are opposed. We don't like to say it clearly, the visit of Obama here, because what it represents to all the people in Latin America.
I saw that also what some of the organizations were mentioning was that they were opposed also to the fact that it was taking place on the 40th anniversary of the military takeover in Argentina. Can you just briefly give us a quick summary of what was the U.S. position with regard to that coup in 1976, and what effect is that having on Argentina still today?
The military government here in Argentina was part of a plan of, as I said recently, for all America Latina. It was not only here a military government, but it happens that something called the Plan Condor was the plan of the United States for all the region. It was a moment with the Cold War and the influence of Russia in that moment was growing up here. So that was the way that the United States had to cut with all that possibilities here in our countries. So it was a plan, financial and entrenamiento militar.
Military training.
Military training, sorry, that gives the army of the United States to the local armies in all our countries in order to persecute,
To persecute.
To persecute and to kill and to disappear. And here in Argentina, 30,000 people, as you said, and similar numbers in all the countries here in Latin America. So there's a huge responsibility of the United States in the military process in our countries. And the March the 24th is an emblematic date for us because it's the day we somehow remember and protest against all of that what happened. And the visit of Obama in this date, we understand is a provocation. It's a way to say and to show clearly what Mauricio Macri, our president, wants to do. And in the last 10 years, we made alianzas.
Allies or
with Venezuela, with Bolivia, with Brazil, and now we are obviously leaving that behind and going back to the relations with the US and the possibility of TLCs and other kinds of economical agreements with the imperialism.
Yeah, just to follow, if I might, on what Julian was just saying. I think that you can feel there's a palpable level of indignation in the street today, everywhere you go, precisely because this day is so symbolically significant. And the visit of Obama on this day is so onerous precisely because it effectively coronates the current president, President Macri, who frankly is against everything that we stand for here in terms of human rights, in terms of the advances in recuperation of stolen children, recuperation of memory itself. So again, this visit of Obama is especially onerous because of the way it legitimates the current presidency.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, that's something I wanted to turn to next. Is that in his press conference, President Obama said that, or he was praising Macri for being inclusive and future-oriented, and also concerned about human rights. What is your perspective on all of this? I mean, this idea that a neoliberal president, especially after Obama previously in Cuba was giving a speech in favor of capitalism and that Cuba should move away from socialism, he then lands in Argentina, and of course praising this 180-degree turnaround that took place in Argentina. What can you say about Macri's inclusiveness or future orientation for the concern for global climate change, or his concern for human rights? When I heard that recently there was also somebody who was arrested, Milagro Sala, whose international groups have already been saying that she's being unjustly punished. So what can you say about these comments of Obama's?
First of all, let me say that if it's correct saying that Macri is making some changes that we understand that are worst for the people, but it's not exactly 180 degrees change, because in some house there are some continuities also with the government of Nestor and Cristina. It's not that we live a revolution and not we are living a counter-revolution or something like that. We have a capitalist government, and now we have a neoliberalist government that we understand is worse, but it's not that what we had before was the socialism or a revolution. I want to be really clear with this, because I know that sometimes in other countries they have a vision of what we had in Argentina, like it was similar to Cuba or to Venezuela or to Bolivia, and it was not really that way. After making this brief acceleration, and we don't expect nothing good for Macri's government. We don't believe in this, what Obama said in the press conference. They are things they say just for the press or to keep a good image in the people. But we know who Macri is. We know what is his plan for our country. He represents the highest class and is trying to make business with our country. It's not that he's going to work for the good of our people. So, and I know that the press conference are a way to say nice things that the people can like and say, oh, I'm agree with this, but it's not true. And we had the first 3 months of government of Mauricio Macri, and the amount, cantidad? The amount of things that he made, they are all bad for the people.
Can you give us some concrete examples as to what kinds of policies Macri has introduced in the first 100 days?
Yes.
I mean, maybe Nicholas can chime in as well.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I was actually going to follow up on what Julian was just saying. Well, in the first 100 days, the first 3 months, we have seen the president issue, I think now 29 presidential decrees, effectively a presidential fiat, while the Senate was in recess. And among them, again, to tie back into the human rights, a number of them went directly against the established notion of what human rights basically are. We've seen a number of measures that are effectively against the free assembly of peoples in the streets. We've seen a number of measures that are against the basic circulation. They've now made it legal to basically stop and frisk, as we would say in the United States, at random in the streets. Those are some measures that come to mind. I'm sure Julian.
They are this conception, this neoliberal conception that the state has been reduced to the minimal expression. So he fired 30,000 people that have job in the state, and with this idea of reducing the state, they were fired. And in the private enterprise, a similar number, but we don't have the numbers as we have in the States. He closed the Congress during 2 months. From December to February, the Congress was shut down, and he governed by decree.
Exactly.
And now the last and probably one of the worst things that happened here is that the Congress voted a law to arreglar.
Yeah, to agree
with the fondos buitres.
With the vulture funds.
Sorry
yes.
for my English. No. With the international funds that speculate with the situation of the economies all over the world. So now we are going to take debt in order to pay debt. And we know what is the end of the story, that the countries of the third world taking debt of the international credit organism, that what only does is to increase the dependence of our economies.
Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but thanks so much for joining us today at The Real News.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gregory, again. Sorry for my English, and hopefully we will meet in some other occasion with better news.
No, that's fine. Well, and thank you to our audience for joining us at The Real News Network.